Hello, my name is Howard Leader, and I am your host for Our Ventura TV. And today my guest is from the Cabrillo Music Theatre, Wilkenfeld. Welcome aboard.
Thanks, Howard. Thanks for having me.
One of the first questions I like to ask my guests, primarily because sometimes I don't know the answer, is what do you do? What does an artistic director do?
Oh, that's a great question. What an artistic director is supposed to do is choose the shows and be overall responsible for the productions. Because Cabrillo Music Theatre is a small organization for such a large venue, a large house, I carry more responsibilities than that. I sometimes find myself pulling props out of storage or driving a truck full of scenery. You will see me at our outreach events. You will see me at city council meetings, board meetings, fundraising committee meetings. I kind of have to do a little bit more than the title implies, but I still like the title artistic director, and I aspire to it being that.
One of the questions that we discussed off air was what makes a good show, and you interjected and said, well, do you mean show or season?
Yeah.
And so I'm going to ask you, what makes a good season?
Oh, this is a good question because this is my 8th year putting the season together. And I always describe it as you're trying to put together a 4-course meal. We do 4 shows a year, all in the Thousand Oaks Civic Arts Plaza. And we want, over the course of a year, to have taken the audience on 4 different journeys, all entertaining, all fun, all engaging with great characters, but different, so that we by the end of a season, you've seen a lot of different things. We might touch the classics a little bit in musical theater, but we also want to bring in a new show, something they know, something they don't know. It's a little like The Wedding, something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue, and if you put in too many main dishes and not enough side dishes, you have an unbalanced season. So the big magic for us is to find that alchemy, to put 4 shows together that feel like one picture.
Now, I know that I know your seasons, I know what you put on, and you and I were emailing a few weeks ago, and I brought up a couple of shows that I would like to see just as a patron.
Right.
One was called Blood Brothers.
I love Blood Brothers.
And you had told me that you saw it twice. And another one I had mentioned to you was Don't Bother Me, I Can't Cope.
Right.
Which I'm sure that 95% of our audience out here
But I remember it.
And when you said that you remember, I think you told me you still had the LP.
I do have a lot of vinyl, and that's one of them.
I was blown away because I thought that was such a good show, and I think it is applicable today. I mean, the story of the African American community.
Absolutely.
And why is it that a small or large theater has difficulty, or what would be the reasons that that particular show wouldn't make it on the boards?
Well, you have to take a holistic look at the whole industry for this, but really with audience, audiences are going up and down. Subscriber bases are going down. Theater companies that are succeeding are looking at new ways to explore audience buying their tickets, and do they buy them for a series of shows, or do they buy them for just one show? Box offices have had to learn to be more flexible. I'm talking all across the country. The theater companies that are surviving are adapting to this change. Many are not surviving. And the struggle for us is always to find our audience. So now you're talking about a show that nobody knows. Now let me tell you a story. We announce a new season every year. One of our shows for a season in the Heights. And one of our subscribers came up to me. I announced these season of shows, and she said, "I'm not sure if I'm going to subscribe next year. I know this show and I know that show, and so I may just come to those 2 shows." And I said, "What about In the Heights?" And she says to me, honest to God, she says to me, "I don't like In the Heights. I've never seen it." And my first thought is, I have a son that thinks that way about green beans.
Sure.
But this is our challenge. Don't Bother Me, I Can't Cope, or Blood Brothers. Those are shows that companies should do. We are an 1,800-seat venue. We have 9 performances over 2 weekends. So word of mouth starts 9 days before we close. When we open a show on opening night and the audience buzz is great, there's only one more weekend to get people in to see it.
Yeah.
So a show like Don't Bother Me, I Can't Cope needs to be done probably in a smaller venue where you can run it 6 weeks, 8 weeks, let the word of mouth build and the reviews build. I mean, and even the newspapers are changing. How word gets out about shows is changing. Online reviews come out quicker than print reviews, which is to print's detriment, and they should look at that because you have to adapt with these times. You have to get the word out. Everyone wants their information faster. Don't Bother Me, I Can't Cope would be a great show for a company to do. We can't do it because we would have minimal audience the first weekend.
Right.
And then people would find out about it, and then it'd be too late to pay for it.
And it's hard to fill an 1,800-seat
It
house.
absolutely is. And we have done great shows that have not sold and have broken our hearts by not selling. And they just put they just remind us we got to work harder at letting people know about our shows and if they need education. A show like a Bye Bye Birdie, we just need to say, put on a happy face and kids, and people will come to Bye Bye Birdie.
Well, I think it's the same way with shows like Annie.
Exactly.
Fiddler on the Roof.
Yes.
People know those names.
The Sound of Music, a lot of people came to Sound of Music, a lot of people came to Grease, but you fall back on what that woman said. If she's only going to see shows she's seen before for the rest of her life, we have a much bigger mountain to climb.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's a challenge for us. So when we take on a new show, it's really about educating the community. What is the show? Why will they want to see it? Plus, it's engaging the trust of our audience. When an audience member becomes a subscriber, and I was just sitting down with a couple who are subscribers a couple nights ago, and she said, I didn't think I was going to like Ring of Fire, the show we did about Johnny Cash a while back. And she said, that's the one that you surprised me on. I walked in not knowing it. I walked out thanking you for doing it. And we've had that experience with a lot of shows. But if you only go into shows you're not gonna make that commitment of being a seasoned subscriber. We love surprising our audiences. We've got a surprise or two in plan for our audience every season, but we can only do that if they play their role and commit to the company.
One of the things that we had discussed earlier, and I do want to speak about it before we run out of time, is something that you do every holiday season.
Yes.
About entertaining the troops. Why don't you tell our audience about that?
Well, our commitment to all of our outreach is one of the things we're proudest of. We're a nonprofit organization, of course, and we give back in a variety of ways. And with the troops, we do two things. One is our military means so much to us, and they give so much. And so we make sure all active members of the military and their families get to see all Cabrillo Music Theater shows free of charge. They show up, they show their military ID, they get in, they see the show. That's one thing. But 7 years ago, well, it started a million years ago, but we have been going for the last several years to the Naval Base of Ventura County at their invitation. We put on a variety show for them. It's not one of our main stage musicals. It's something we rehearse and put together for them. We bring back the stars of our Cabrillo shows. They fall all over themselves wanting to do this. They want to give back, and they've never known how to give back. And we take our kids performing group, our teen performing group, the Rotary Clubs of Ventura County partner with us on this, and they go with us and they bring snacks for the kids, and we bring Santa, and we have a great show. We do a sing-along, and it is the most meaningful thing we do. It's a small way of giving back. And I have to tell you the story. I talked to Captain Connors from the Naval Base, who was the man on the Naval Base who pioneered this thing with us, and he told me that until we did this, that a lot of the folks on the base, they knew the public was out there, they knew the public kind of appreciated what they did, their sacrifice, but they didn't have a tangible way of seeing that. But when we started coming to the Naval Base, he said that was the first time the troops got how much we care about them. And when he told me this, I was moved to tears because we want to be able to tell these guys that and these gals that. They're doing so much for us. I mean, and this is what I say, you guys watch our country, you save our lives. We sing and dance. It's not equal, but it's the best we can do. And we're grateful for the opportunity to give back and do it. So we do that every year. We go to senior homes and we entertain the seniors who can't come to our main stage shows. We bring students into our shows who can't afford to see it from schools that are economically challenged. And we do animal rescue programs. When we have a show that ties into animal rescue, we will have outside animal rescue organizations from up and down Ventura County with the pets there, and we're finding homes for dozens of animals every production.
That's fantastic. You know, you brought up something, and I'm sitting here thinking, we don't hear about the USO shows these days, the days of Bob Hope.
I'm a little bit of a ham on that. I kind of like the fact that we do it Bob Hope style.
Yeah, and it's kind of nice because it certainly shows the troops that we appreciate their service.
Yes.
And maybe we don't go over to Afghanistan or Iraq as we went over to Vietnam many times.
Right.
So I think it's a wonderful thing that you're doing.
I keep telling the captain, I am ready. Put me on a cruiser, put me on a ship. We will take entertainers, we'll go.
Oh, that's just dynamite.
Yes.
Have you selected your 2014 season yet, or do you have anything in mind that you'd like to do?
Well, the rest of our season is, we have Forever Plaid coming up, and then we put together a cast of really the prototypical perfect Plaid cast. It's directed by one of the original Plaids, Larry Rabin. Then we're doing In the Heights, and this is a good example of the new musical we were talking about, because the audience doesn't know In the Heights, and now we're going to do it. And we're doing a lot of community education and outreach ahead of time so that people know what they're getting into before they get into it. They're going to love In the Heights. In the Heights is Fiddler on the Roof, but with a Latin beat, and it's family, and it's generations, and it's trying to figure out where you belong. And then we're going to end with Bye Bye Birdie, our summer spectacular show, and we're going to have a huge cast on stage for that. And it's kind of a throwback for Cabrillo. We did it 18 years ago on stage, and we're doing it again at the Civic Arts Plaza. So that's the rest of our season.
One of the things that I like to get out there to our audience is to talk a little bit about volunteers, the volunteers that work for our theaters.
Yes.
Whether it's Cabrillo Music Theatre or a small 49 house, seat house. Are you looking for volunteers?
All the time.
And how would they get in touch with your theater if, in fact, they could help?
Go to our website, CabrilloMusicTheatre.com. You can contact us. You can write to me directly or info@CabrilloMusicTheatre.com. We take on interns in many departments, and these young kids, they go on to have full lives in the arts. 2 of our sound kids are now in college getting degrees in sound. I write letters of recommendation for all of them. We had 6 interns last summer on our show. We get a lot of young people involved backstage and on stage. A lot. You've heard my speeches, Howard, before the show, so you know that we have a cast member in almost every show on Broadway right now.
Wow.
And Adam Lambert started with Cabrillo Music Theatre. Catherine McPhee got her break with Cabrillo Music Theatre. And if you went to any show in New York, you'd probably find the name of a Cabrillo alum. And that's why it's good to remind people we're local. We audition all these shows right here. We're not a tour. We're not going someplace else. We audition anywhere from 300 to 500 people for every show, and we are constantly on the lookout for the next generation of musical theater talent. We love when we find them. And then the volunteers are working backstage on our crew and all of our departments in the office. We have a lot of office interns who are looking for a career in theater business and getting their community service hours, and there's opportunities in every facet of it. What I love is when a young person or a person of any age comes into me and says, you know what, I really wanted to get involved with blank. Whatever blank is, we try to steer it toward that. You want to do some marketing? Great, we need help with marketing. You want to write a press release? Excellent, I'm sick of writing them. You want to help with the naval base and the troops? A young woman tracked me down a couple days ago. She said, I'm taking a gap year between high school and college. I just want to help. So she's going to be a dresser on an upcoming show because she wants to learn that.
Wow.
And she's going to be working on this big community outreach event because she wants to get back to the community.
Well, that's dynamite. And we have just a few seconds left, but really I just want to touch on one more thing.
Yeah.
I know that theaters cannot survive on ticket sales alone.
Yes.
So you ask for donations. And
That's
if
right.
somebody wanted to donate to the Cabrillo Music Theatre, would they just contact you on the website?
Go to the website, CabrilloMusicTheatre.com, or call our office, which you can find our number on the website, or come find me in the lobby of one of our shows. But yes, like every arts organization, we operate at a deficit. We rely on the community to support us. And all of our outreach, none of that makes money. The only way we do that is by the generosity of the community. That's the only way to do it.
Louis, thank you so much. I do want to add one thing, that it's not that way just with Cabrillo Music Theatre. It's the way with every theater that I know of, and believe me, I do know a lot. Yeah. On behalf of Our Ventura TV, this is your host, Howard Leader. Until next time.